So I picked up Shards of Honour thinking I was getting a nice, slightly old school space adventure. And instead I got stranded on an alien planet survival story, a political drama, a culture clash, and a romance that completely snuck up on me. This is the first book in the Vorkosigan Saga by Lois McMaster Bujold. And even though it came out in the 80s, the characters feel way more modern than I expected. Now, this isn't flashy sci-fi, it's very much people first, spaceship second. And that ended up being exactly why I liked it so much. So, what is the book actually about? The story follows Cordelia Naismith, who's a survey captain from the Beta Colony, a planet progressive, science-focused and pretty social equal. And while exploring a new world, her mission goes wrong and she ends up being stranded. And the person she's stuck with, Errol Vorkosigan, a military commander from Barrayar, which is basically the complete opposite kind of society. The Beta Colony is open, modern and freedom-focused, while Barrayar is feudal, strict, very military and very honor-based. So right away you've got enemies forced to work together just to survive. But the book quickly grows into something bigger than just how do we get off this planet. It turns into a story about values, loyalty, leadership, and how two very different people try to understand each other. And yes, there is a romance, but it's not the cheesy kind. And Cordelia is honestly one of my favorite kinds of main character. She's smart, capable and calm under pressure, but she's also deeply empathetic. She cares about people and she thinks about the moral side of decisions, not just the practical side. And what I loved is that the story treats that as a strength, not a weakness. She's not naive, she's not constantly making reckless emotional choices. She's thoughtful, and when she takes a stand, it matters. And she feels like a very real person trying to do the right thing in a very messy situation. And a huge part of what makes this story so interesting is watching Cordelia and Errol deal with how different their worlds are. Cordelia comes from a society that values personal freedom and equality, and Errol comes from a world shaped by war, hierarchy, and survival at all costs. And they don't just shrug and move past that, they talk about it, they disagree, and they challenge each other. And sometimes they genuinely don't understand how the other person can see the world the way they do. And it never feels like the book is saying that one side is perfect and the other one is evil. It's more like there are two systems that grew out of very different histories, and now two people shaped by those systems have to figure each other out. And I think that made the relationship feel much deeper than just attraction. Now, if you're someone who usually avoids romance in sci-fi, I get it. I'm picky about it too. But I think this one works because it grows slowly and naturally. It's built on respect, conversation, shared danger, and seeing how the other person handles pressure. And they don't magically fix each other. They don't suddenly agree on everything, but they start to recognize each other as people of integrity. And that's what pulls them together. So it feels mature, it feels earned, and it becomes emotionally important without taking over the whole story. Now there's also a political side to the book, especially once the story moves beyond just survival. But the nice thing is, you don't just get huge info dumps. You learn about Barriar's politics and tensions naturally through what's happening and the choices characters make. You get a sense that there's a much bigger universe out there, and that what's happening in this book is just one piece of a larger puzzle, which makes me really excited to continue the series. And now the pacing. This is not a constant action kind of story. Sure, there are tense moments, but a lot of the book is built around conversations, decisions, and emotional turning points. It's more about why people choose what they choose than about big battle scenes. The middle part slows down a bit when the politics become more central, but by that point I was so invested in the characters that I didn't mind. Overall, the vibe is thoughtful, character focused, and surprisingly warm for a story that deals with war and power struggles. Now, of course, this book isn't perfect. There are some small weaknesses. You can tell it's an older book in a few places. Some side characters don't get a ton of depth, and a couple of big developments happen pretty quickly in the background. But honestly, because the focus is so clearly on Cordelia and Errol, that didn't bother me much. So, who do I think will like this? I would recommend Shards of Honour if you like character-driven sci-fi, strong, thoughtful female leads, political tension that's easy to follow, a slow burn, believable relationship, and stories that care more about people than tech details. You might not love it if you want non-stop action, hard science explanations, or just really dark, brutal sci-fi. This book has conflict, but it also has a strong thread of hope running through it. So, final thoughts overall. Shards of Honour ended up being such a pleasant surprise. What starts as a survival story turns into something much more personal and emotional. About culture, responsibility, and choosing compassion, even in a system built on conflict. I came for a classic space adventure, but I stayed for Cordelia, Errol, and a feeling that I've just stepped into a sci-fi series that's going to be all about characters I genuinely care about. And now I completely understand why the Vorkosigan Saga has the reputation it does. So, that are my thoughts on the book Shards of Honour. Let me know what you think about this book in the comments, and I hope to see you again.